Okay, we are live. My name is Fred Caney from Valley Bigfoot and the Inside Vintage Squatch, and the show is called Researchers Across the Country. And this evening's guest is Barb Shute and Sam from what was that? He was from again?
Planet Sasquatch.
From Planet Sasquatch. So we got two for the price of one. I'll look at you get everything. Okay.
It just worked out pretty handy that way, didn't
it? Yeah. Okay, Barb, can you
Okay, we are live. My name is Fred Caney.
Hold on for a second here. That's last.
The show is called Research.
Okay. Oh, here we go. Let me get back up on here. Barb, I'm kind of new at this here, you know.
Okay.
Okay, now, can you go ahead and tell people about yourself? And after you do, I want to get Sam to tell me about himself, too, before we get really into stuff, okay? So can you go ahead and start?
Sure.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, my name's Barb Shute, and I live in Washington State, north of Mount Rainier. And I've been here for 23 years, and in all that time, weird things go on out in the woods. You know, I hear things, I've seen things, and I never really put it all together until 3 years ago, the 1st of November, I saw a large Sasquatch up here on the hill behind the cabin facing the herd of elk. And at that point, everything that I'd been experiencing in the 23 years suddenly made a lot of sense. And I contacted the VFRO, and the investigator, Mike Spears, came out, and we spent the day hiking around, and I told him, you know, about everything that had happened that day and about things that I'd been experiencing, and he started telling me about habituating, leaving gifts and trying to create interactions instead of, you know, the old technique of chasing them through the woods, doing knocks and screams and trying to get a reaction. We try to create a relationship with them of sorts that allows them to come to us. And so we have our experiences that way. So now that's what I do. Every week I go out and I leave them pies and peanut butter and apples. And they come back around the cabin, and they've left me a few gifts here now. And yeah, that's what we're working on. It's been a long process, but it's been worthwhile.
That sounds really very interesting, because you got my curiosity piqued now.
Okay.
Okay, about Sam, how about you? Can you tell us about yourself?
Oh, sure. I'm also living in the same area as Barb. In the Bigfoot Sasquatch research. Prior to that, I really thought it was a fictional character. So I haven't had a long interaction with them, but since I've been up here in the Greenwater area, and Barb telling me a little bit about it, I started experiencing a lot of the vocalizations and hearing them for myself, and decided at some point that the more I heard them, I started recording, and decided to go ahead and become a researcher myself. So over the past year, I have a YouTube channel called Planet Sasquatch, and I've been involved in a little bit different aspect, although we both do habituation. We both have the same method of going into an area and being able to develop a relationship with the clan of Sasquatches here. My focus, however, has been more on recording the vocalizations, also pictures. I've been able to take some pretty decent photos of the actual Sasquatches that live up here, and they're all, of course, available on the channel. So things are getting more and more interesting the longer we do our research here. We work very closely together, not only with Barb, but there's several others, that a gal named Sandy, and we all tend to work together in our the same goal of getting to know who they are. That's pretty much it in a nutshell on that.
You got my curiosity piqued beyond and beyond and everything, because, you know, in my area, you know, I got what I mainly have is juveniles follow me around and everything. I got black ones, I got cinnamon blonde, I got brothers, I got sisters, I got cinnamon blondes, blacks, some with hair on the face and some without hair on the face, you know, and
Yeah, that sounds just like here. Most of the activity that we have here is with the juveniles.
Yeah.
And, most of the sightings we've had, they're black, although there has been one instance of a cinnamon-colored one, a young one that's been around.
We affectionately call our area up here the nursery at times because this is where we have so much interaction with juveniles and the young, the younger ones, and of course I would say the pre-adult juveniles that are taking care of the younger ones. So I have had one sighting personally of the actual adult, or actually, well, I'm going to say two, because they were, you know, on the order of about 10 to 11 feet tall.
Oh, okay. All right. Now, this time of year, like right now, fall's here, getting ready to go into winter, and since I live, like where I live in Virginia, I live in a place called the Shenandoah Valley. It's like a gigantic salad bowl.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, I live right
There.
as the crow flies. I live 5 minutes from the Blue Ridge Parkway and the Appalachian Trail, and that's their travel route. All right. Now they're getting ready to leave the area and migrate. But right now, the juveniles average is about 4.5 to 6 foot tall right now. And what they do, and what I've gathered on my end is every year, every spring, when they get to be adults, they come back and they give birth to their young where they were born at, and it's like a repeating process in my area. So basically, like is it like it's that in y'all's area?
Well, ours don't migrate. They're here year-round. We have large herd of elk that's here. They never leave, and I think the Sasquatch are here year-round too. It's been 3 years that I've been keeping track of the activity around here, and there's never more than a few weeks goes by without something happening.
Oh, good.
I think right here, our tiny little community, we're just kind of tucked into the mountains, and I think they bring the youngsters here to see how we function, how we move, and you know, learn what humans are about. This is a safe place for them to just come and hang out around the edges. And, you know, most of the locals here in this community have been here for years and years and years. So, you know, as time goes on, you know, when I first came here 23 years ago, there was footprints up on the hill behind my cabin. Well, you know, that individual and the locals in the community pretty well, you know, and they know what we're about, and you know, I think that really helps a lot when it comes to trying to communicate with them and create interaction, because they already understand us,
Right.
know what we're about. So we go out and we play music and offer them treats and do what we can to lure them in, and I guess you could say we set ourselves apart from the rest of the locals by just trying to entertain them.
Oh, good. Now, let me ask y'all a question here. When the very first time y'all got into squatching and y'all went out and y'all started to leave gifts and stuff like that, how was their reaction when y'all first got into it, and how did y'all go about approaching that process to get into to where they started to interact with you?
Well, it was really time consuming. When I first left out a gift, it was just a few weeks after I saw the big guy chasing the elk, and all I did was put an apple under a tree nearby that area. And that's when Mike Beers came up. He told me, well, that I needed to find a secluded place where they're comfortable, where I know they pass through. So I did. I found a nice secluded spot where I had found footprints in the snow there before. And at first, you know, I didn't really know what I was doing. I just kind of picked whatever odds and ends I could find, you know, anything from fresh fruit to vegetables to junk food. And it was pretty clear right off the bat that mostly that was just being taken and scattered around by raccoons. So then I got the bright idea to take a milk crate and I put the food underneath that with a big rock on top of it. Well, mice and things were still getting in there, but every now and then I'd find that big rock would have been picked up and moved off the milk crate to get sides. But still, they were mostly just moving things around, looking at them, rocks and things, non-food items. There was really no sign that they were taking any of the food. And then, you know, worrying about the mice getting in and eating the produce and things like that. So then I changed it up again, and I started putting things in a cooler. Well, that worked for a little while, but then winter came, and the cooler's still up full of rainwater, and then it'd freeze, and that was just kind of a mess. So then I started hanging things from a bucket, suspended from a high branch, you know, the way they recommend for hikers to do to keep the wildlife out of their food.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't until, it was probably a good 6 months into it before the first jar of peanut butter I found with the lid had been taken off by squeezing the jar. It popped the lid off, and then there were stick marks in it. And that was the first time that I think that I really knew that they were taking the food. And after that, every jar of peanut butter I ever put out disappeared. And I grew the food groups until I figured, you know, they don't seem to like any kind of vegetables that we leave them.
Oh, okay.
Pies are a big hit, so I always give them a fruit pie, and then fresh organic apples. Those always disappear. And you know, we still leave out other things. There's rocks that they've taken, balls. They like toy balls. I've had 3 big flashy balls that have disappeared, and one actually came back. It had some kind of fluid in it that made the sparkly stuff spin around. Well, the plug on the ball got pulled, so I think they brought that back hoping I could fix it, but didn't do that. So.
Okay, I got a question here from Paula Holland. She says, my question is, are they still leaving glyphs in your driveway?
Hi, Paula. Yeah, actually, I was out there earlier today, and I found a couple of sticks on the edge of the driveway that were on top of the leaves and looked really fresh and arranged. And over the last couple of weeks, I've been going up the trail looking for new glyphs because we were finding a lot of stuff along the trail for a long time, and I wasn't seeing anything of any interest. And then just a couple hours ago, I went up and I found several spots along the trail that looked like they had fresh new glyphs placed in the trail.
I can confirm that myself because I go up the same trail, and I have made note of the same glyphs, and they are different, and they're definitely not artificial. They are purposely placed a certain way, so there's some intelligence behind what's being set up on there. So, and this is just a fairly recent one in the last year. They started doing that. We never saw any patterns or anything like that along the trail. They'd be the larger wood structures we would normally see, but then it started appearing on the trail. So that's, I think maybe they're habituating us.
Yeah. Sometimes we wonder, who's habituating who.
Yeah. Okay, so okay. Let's see how to do this. When y'all see the juveniles, and of course, same way in my area, you know, they are taught to watch and learn from us to a point. How intelligent do you think a juvenile is as far as mimicking? Like you mentioned the peanut butter, you said they popped the lids off.
Yeah.
Okay. Now in my area, I showed them how to take the lid off and put a lid back on. And when I come in the next day, I had this. I was using plastic jars. I would take and punch a hole in it and put a stick from the bottom over to the top, shove it in the ground. Come back the next day, the sticks are still on the ground. They're like clean. And I'll use like a red lid for smoothing, a blue lid for crunchy, and the jars will be gone, but the lids will be laying down next to each stick that the jar come off of. So my question is, are they in that? Could they be that intelligent to a point to mimic how to like open a jar, how to do this and how to do that?
Oh yeah, no doubt. When the very first jar, they squeezed the lid off and popped it off that way. But since then, we don't even take off the inner seal. They unscrew the lid and they pull off the inner seal better than I can sometimes. Not even a crease in it. And the same thing with the honey bottles that we leave out. They'll take off the lid. We'll find the lid there. and they'll peel off the inner still, and then we'll find the bottle. The honey bottles we always find nearby. The peanut butter jars we pretty much never find.
Well, I found, well, for about 6 months I was doing this, and would you believe I found the jars? It was behind a pine tree, and there was 4 rows of them, neatly stacked, like a stack of 10, another stack of 10, and another stack of 10, and another stack of 10. Neat.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah.
At least they're orderly.
Yeah. Now, it got to the point where when I come in there and I held the jars up, you could hear them running through the woods, and they would stop so far away, and you could see heads pop out everywhere, you know. But they
That's
couldn't.
awesome.
But they couldn't wait till I got out of the area. As soon as I top that ridge, dropped down the other side, they would move right in. Yeah.
You know, most of our peanut butter jars, the jars themselves we hardly ever find. And I guess this is last spring, Sam and I were going up the trail, and I was just kind of joking around, and I hollered out, you know, it sure would be nice if we get some of these peanut butter jars back. Well, the next day, I was headed out to go up the trail like I normally would, and it's just across the road from my cabin. So as I was crossing the road, something told me, you know, don't go this way, go downriver. This image of this spot downriver where I used to go in and look for rocks just kept flashing in with my mind, and I thought, well, you know, if you get a feeling like that, go with it. So instead of going up the trail like I normally would, I went downriver to that spot, and then I got down there, and I was a little annoyed with myself because I'd gone down there, direction that I had nowhere to go from there, and wasn't where I wanted to go. So I thought, well, heck with this, and I just turned and was just going to bushwhack straight back into the woods and head to the direction I was originally planning on going. I got back there maybe 20, 30 feet, and there's a large tree had been pushed over, and it was not all the way over. It was just kind of at a steep angle. So the root wad was sticking up partly out of the ground, and in that little notch between the trunk of the tree and the root wad was an empty peanut butter jar sitting right there.
Oh,
and so I kind of took that as the message that they heard me when I asked to get one back. So.
Well, Sam, now do you have your own area too, or do you and Barb share the same area?
We actually research in the same area.
Okay.
She, like I said, has done gifting quite a bit here. I have done limited gifting. I don't do it to the degree that that Barb does. But I have done it on 4 separate occasions. But I actually just spend a lot of time up in the area quietly listening and playing the flute and observing the interaction from them, vocalizations, and then I do take a lot of pictures to find them on them.
Okay.
So they're pretty elusive. It's nice. We've had where we actually saw them on a number of occasions, but usually we're not that fortunate on a regular basis to see that.
We do hear them.
We do hear them a lot, you know, and so.
Have y'all ever felt? We got a question here. Have y'all ever been felt uneasy around them to a point, maybe? You know, like like a weird feeling. You feel kind of uneasy sometimes when you're around them or when they come around.
I've had a tingly feeling when I knew one was close off to my side. That side that was facing him tingled, but you know, it wasn't uncomfortable, and I've never felt threatened or uncomfortable around them.
Have y'all ever been growled at?
No, but I've heard grunts.
Oh, y'all are lucky.
That too. And as far as me being uneasy about it, I think I'm uneasy with being out at night. So it's just the normal, typical fears you have. Because we sometimes go out at night and things like that. So, but I actually it's got to the point where I can honestly say I'd be more afraid of being in the middle of the night than I would of the Sasquatch. I mean, I actually have a cold hurt.
Yeah. Have y'all ever come close or near a birthing area, or do you know if there's a birthing area around y'all? Because the last time, I got a couple of birthing areas in my birthing beds in my area, and I went in one day and I was going in, and I had one to my left, one to my right, and one in front of me. All three of them growling, and the vibration just went right through me. Have you ever been in a situation like that?
No, I've never experienced anything like that. We did have an experience about a year ago when there was what we think was probably a toddler was nearby when we had a sighting, and there was a group of us. One of us saw the toddler coming head first down a little tree and off into the brush. But
is that video that y'all went back? It was like you had the camera facing forward, and it was like right behind like a small brush pile. It was on the right side of the tree, and it shot down.
yeah, that was the Cloaker event.
All right, Michigan. How, in your opinion, in y'all's opinion, how cloak if it's not using nature?
I have no idea. You know, until I got that footage, I was under the impression that cloaking was just a matter of being really fast and blending it really well into the environment.
That's what I
right in front of me, and there was literally nothing there until something popped up on the back side. You can see it drop down and go down. When I saw it, I think is when it came back up on the other side is when I saw it. What you see in the video, there was literally nothing there. It was right in front of me.
what I seen in the video. I mean, I took a snapshot of that particular spot. The video then, and all I seen was the leaves move on the tree. Well, that little tree was on. That's the only thing I seen.
You look at Thinker Thunkers.
Yeah, didn't. Yeah, Thinker Thunker.
And I think what happened was going by the footprints that we found with what we had on the video. I think we're on the log. It dropped down, went under the log. But that's what he took off left, and that was we followed it. It went that way, and he dropped down into a hole. The other one went straight back, and foot trees that you can see leaning, bending over in Thinker Thunker's analysis of it.
Right.
And those tracks continued back around a pile of logs. But how they do it, I have no idea.
Got any questions? Here's for Sam or Barb. Hey, Keith.
Hello.
You got any questions?
No, not right now.
Okay, how about you, Leo?
You're tired, Fred. Yes, I can come up with some questions. I'm so glad Sam is there with Barb. It's double bonus. I'm so thrilled. I've got a number of questions. Barb, have you had any luck with your disposable cameras yet?
No, we had one that we left out there for the longest time, and yeah, we finally got it developed, and there was just the ground and a few of the test shots of Gabby that I took, you know, when I was out there, and that was it. There was nothing on it.
Okay. Hang on, Fred. I can come up with another question. Do you think the Sasquatch and Gabby have perhaps just kind of gotten used to each other?
Oh,
so one doesn't bother the other?
I'm pretty sure that she's made friends with at least a couple of the smaller juveniles. I don't know, if you see her when she's being silly in the videos, when she's running around and bouncing, she'll stop and she'll look around to see who's watching. And
yeah,
there's been times that, you know, she'll be doing something, and you know, for instance, we were at Sandy's gifting area, and there's a huge stump there that she likes to lay on, and that was also a spot where she had seen something that had her really freaked out with about a year ago. And Sandy and I were standing there discussing the stick that had been pushed into the top of the stump, and Gabby's just laying there on the stump listening, and she kind of leans over and she grabs hold of the stick and snaps it off, spits it out, and then she looks around just to see if they were watching her. You know, just kind of pure orneriness there. And then over the summer, it was really interesting. Every single time we went out in the woods, whether we were just going, you know, up the trail, down the river, or just out bushwhacking, within a few minutes, she had a new ball in her mouth for the day. So, yeah, we think that they've been toys and playing with her. And you can tell when they're around and she gets kind of silly out there, I think she's putting on a show for them.
Oh, got a ham, huh?
Yeah.
You know what, I have to say that right when I was both Barb and Gabby, and Gabby is very attentive. She's almost like 16 and I thought for what our own kids do, because she will spot something, and we've been up at night, and she'll spot something, and unfortunately run for it, but then we pass by the same area, and then all of a sudden something jumped down from a limb or something like that, so we know they were out there. One night we were out there, and all sorts of activity, and Gabby was on holiday at that point.
I'd also like to say real quick while I have you both, Sam, I love your music. It's so beautiful, and I can see why Sasquatch would love just to hang around in the perimeter and listen to your flute and guitar and things.
Oh, yeah, you probably heard me, yeah.
We enjoy your music, too. And, you know, actually, just before this interview here, Pam has been up the trail. I was up there earlier, and then she went up and she's playing the flute and got a couple of knocks tonight.
Yep.
There you go.
I've been neglecting my responsibilities of playing music, and the activity's kind of waned a little bit for me, so I need to go back up there and do it on a regular basis. That's really increased the activity.
Yeah. I think between the gifts, the music, and just talking to them, and whether you know they're out there or not, you know, it feels kind of funny just talking to the woods at first, but you get used to it, and it really does have results, you know.
Yeah, I can agree with that because.
Yeah, and they know that you're talking to them. It gets their attention.
Yeah, because like when I go squirrel hunting or something, I'll take and lay my gun down next to another tree, and I won't have my camera or anything like that, and I'll just start talking like, you know, the way I do it with these. If they throw a rock back, like if they throw a rock at me, I'll pick up a rock and throw it back and say, hey, you dropped this. You know, and but let me ask you this here though. What kind of language do you think they speak?
Well, you know, I don't know, but I've heard them talking up here on the hill, and to me, it my first strange, mutant, almost. But I've heard them speaking over in the Blue Mountains too, and in the Blue Mountains, it didn't sound the same as it did here. Up there, it sounded more Japanese, the samurai chatter.
The ancient Cherokee dialect. You know, and I'm starting to use, like I'll use a Navajo word. I'll go, Ushka, Yate. And I'll get a whoop, a tree knock, or a rock clack to let me know that they're there.
Oh, that's interesting.
Then I'll go, Dode Tishu, Duwa Oshikwatsu.
Yeah, we had a member of one of us gone up the trail and used some ancient, and he also heard it.
That's pretty cool, though. Let me ask you this. As far as structures go, have you ever found a small tree turned upside down and shoved in the ground and it had like 4 X's on it and then one long stick going in one direction?
You know, I've found a lot of strange structures. There's been a couple times I've found were jammed into the ground. But, you know, nothing exactly like what you're describing. A lot of times, you know, there'll be the bigger end of the tree will be up in the air and the smaller end will be down, but not necessarily driven into the ground.
I found two of them, and someone told me about them, and I found two of them. They said follow which way the long stick goes. First one I followed, it took me directly to an underground mountain stream. It was about big around as a wash tub, and it was pure mountain spring water. Okay, I said cool. The second one took me to an abandoned birthing bed.
Huh. Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. The birthing bed was like 8 foot wide, about 13 foot long. It had sticks lined all the way around it, and it had defecation all the way around it.
Really?
Yeah.
I haven't seen anything like that. Although I have found a couple times where they've taken trees that are down, whether from wind or they pushed them down, big trees, firs, where they've snapped off all the lower limbs and piled them underneath, like the overhanging top of the tree.
Yeah.
Created a deep bed of just the needles and stuff down underneath the top where it's kind of sheltered and pretty cushy. I found that a couple of times up here.
Yeah, I found, I found stuff like that, but what I'm finding mostly is sucker trees, like maple trees that are about like big as a baseball, but like 7 or 8 foot long, and they bend them over close to the ground, and they shove them, and they pick up a log and lay them underneath the log, set the log on top of them.
We've seen that one.
Yeah, we've seen that.
What is that?
We have the vine maples up here, and they...
What do y'all think that means?
Huh?
What do y'all think it means?
Good question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Berries.
You know, one of the things that Tom Cantrell has been teaching us is that when you find different structures, different glyphs, that they could have different meanings for the same structure. It depends on the context that it's in. And one of the things that he uses as an example would be like, say, the word bow. You know, it's B-O-W. Would that be the front of a boat? Would that be a ribbon in your hair? Would that be the bend at the waist in greeting? You know, so it would, even though that glyph or structure meaning in one situation, it could have a completely different meaning in another situation. And another thing that he warns us about is not trying to interpret things from our point of view. You know, it's like if you see a large X, to us that would be like a keep out. You know, that would be a human interpretation of it. Whereas that could have something completely different from their perspective, that meanings that we have no comprehension for, that we have nothing to associate it with.
Yeah, because I got two right now. It's about 30 foot wide and about 25 to 30 foot high. I got one in the apple orchard, and I got one up on top of the mountain. But they're in. See, Shandor Valley is like eat up with mountain laurel constantly, you know. And I found big X's. I found X's shoved between trees. I found trees up into trees. I found trees upside down, you know. But everybody asked me, and I'm going to ask y'all the same question. Do y'all think everything that Squatches leave in the woods, they're telling us exactly what they're doing? All we got to do is decipher.
Well, you got to figure any creature that lives in the woods is going to leave its mark. It's going to leave some sign that it was there. And, you know, sometimes I think there's broken trees are probably done out of maybe frustration, just passing through. You smack a tree on your way and it goes over. It could be the juveniles playing. You know, they leap from tree to tree, and, you know, they hit a tree that just can't take the weight of the growing juvenile. It's going to break or it's going to go over. They've got signs that they leave, you know, as territorial markers. They've got messages to each other. And, you know, I would say that 90% of the structures and glyphs that we see aren't intended for us at all. It's just either by chance something that happens, an occurrence, the results of something they were doing, or it was a message amongst themselves. And when they do when they do leave something that is intentionally for us, they put it in a place where they, in the middle of the trail, or they put it in the driveway, or they'll put something over one of our glyphs that we've already made. We know where we go and what we do, and out in the woods, I don't think those are intended for us at all.
Small glyphs is like you remember the old your computer before we had email and all that. They have these little glyphs on the ground for their own things like that, like letting intercommunicating with them amongst themselves.
The weirdest thing I ever found on one of my trails I used to, like when I'm running a deer or something, is they took and made a chick out of bench. Billboard is like 3, 3, and 3. Either like that.
Did you try to play?
Well, yeah, I tried one time. Stick and made a, like tied it and I laid it on the corner. Back, like every couple didn't find nothing, So I don't know what it meant.
Okay. I'm sure it was something else.
But we have a lot of, just basically sticks, trees that are just like a straight up tree and it's snapped, but they twist it, and I've noticed for the country or my area that when they break them, and I start looking around, I start seeing they look like directionals. One way, and I follow some the other way, stuff like that. I don't know if it's the way I'm interpreting it. It could be like the area, and he'll see, he'll interpret it saying go this way or stay out of this area or something like that. I reckon. I don't know.
Very possible, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. We got one from another person here. It says they're so close around them, they have found where they have been looking through their windows. Well, Gabby would probably let you know there is. So, what's the closest had a Squatch come near you that y'all knew about?
6 feet.
Ooh, I got you
Nice.
by a foot. At 81, I had one stand 5 feet, come out and stand in front of me, 5 feet from me.
That's pretty. I'm going to say about 15 feet. And, well, I'm going to say that I didn't find it until it was later in the video or picture, but as far as knowing something, I came out of my cabin one time, and one was right behind me in the dark, so that would have been about 20 feet away. And then one one time I could really say, aside from one jumping across the tree, and one running in front of me in the middle of the night at one of our campouts where it ran around the campfire. But I saw the black, it looked like Gabby wasn't, I could see the blackness in the dark.
Right.
The one where I actually saw something was about 200 feet away. That was the adult in between the two trees. And it was in a smoky type of, like a mirage type of blackness.
Right.
I didn't take a chance. I waved at it. I took 2 pictures with my cell phone. And when I later looked at the cell phone pictures and was able to zoom in, the first picture is him waving at me and smiling. And the second picture was him pointing at me and turning his head like he's talking to another Squatch, telling him, like, boy, that's pretty amazing. They actually can see it. So that was probably the highlight of probably well, there were several, but this is one of the highlights of my research.
Are those pictures posted?
Yeah, they're on my channel, Planet
Okay.
Sasquatch on YouTube.
I've just found out about your channel in the last couple of weeks. I will go look for those.
Yeah, that particular one is, you look for episode 6. It's just search for Planet Sasquatch on YouTube and you'll find the channel. And then I have a plethora of videos. Look for the more popular ones, and I'll show you some of the key ones. They're there,
Cool, thank you.
Yep.
Okay. When y'all first got into squatching, what was the first thing that you did when you first got into it? I mean, how, like, which way did you decide to go and to try to learn about Sasquatch when y'all first got into it?
Well, after Mike Beers was here from the BFRO, he told me about structures and things, and some of the things he described I had seen in the area before. So right after that, I started spending pretty much every spare hour that I had out in the woods going and exploring and trying to find the things that he had described to me. And you know, the more time that I spent out there, the more things I discovered, the more experiences I had, the more I wanted to be out there. So I think for me it was just a matter of putting everything else on the back burner just to be able to spend more time in the woods.
Oh, okay. That sounds good. How about you, Sam?
I'm going to go ahead and say that Barb was kind of like my teacher and got me involved in it.
Ah, good.
I kind of followed in her footsteps a little bit and going out in the woods with them and observing the kind of things I needed to look for and everything until I really got into, you know, a little bit more independent work. So.
All right. Keith, you got any questions?
Do you guys collect hair samples?
Like what?
Hair samples.
You know, we have found hair out there, but you don't really know. You know, it's pretty easy to tell when it's elk hair or when it's raccoons or stuff like that. But we have found a few odd hairs that we've kept, and you know, a few times you got to wonder, okay, was that something that came off of Gabby or one of us, or because you know, the big one that I saw chasing the elk, his hair was very much like Gabby's, about the same length, black and a little bit of wave to it. So we have collected a few things, but you know, I doubt we'll ever have enough money to have them tested, or
Yeah, it does get kind of
but knowing for a fact without an actual sighting involved with finding them, it'd be worthwhile to have it tested.
questions. I'm gonna do it this way. All right. Yeah, as far as squatches go, what do you believe they are?
They're a different kind of human, I think. Like us, but they're not like us. They're
Human hybrid.
yeah, but I think I don't think they're just they're very aware. Rather than family groups, they can speak, plan, they live their lives, and yeah, I don't think the wildlife. If they were typical wildlife, we would have specimens.
Exactly.
So it takes something that's got to be able to stay hidden as well.
Now, what about far as seeing at night? Do you think that their eyes feel like an owl? They gather light.
I know when you shine an elk or a deer, you get that reflection. And when their eyes glow, it's not like that. It's not like a reflection that you have to be at the proper angle to get.
I've noticed, I've seen two colors. I've seen fluorescent color. First one was a fluorescent light green, and the other one was a red.
I've seen green, red, and white. And the white's a little bluish.
At my property, I actually had the one inside the woods on my cat near toward me, and the eyes were in fact shining out like self-projected eye shine.
Right, because you got certain animals. You know, when you look at their eyes, you see the color, but it kind of looks like it's kind of like it shoots off. how the deer in the headlights, how it's kind of like blur out.
Yeah.
That I've seen, when you look at their eyes, you just see the roundness. You don't see no, it's just a solid.
And I've seen it where it's really bright, where it's almost as bright as light. And I've seen it really dim too. When we were over in the Blue Mountains, I saw baseball, tennis ball sized eyes that were red looking right at me, and they were, I mean, it was clearly red, but it was putting off light.
Do you think that the different color of their eyes, just the mood that they're in at that particular time, like you have some that are mid-low, laid back, and you got some that are just plain out ornery and just don't give a hoot for nothing?
Oh, you know, I'm sure they have those personalities, but how that affects the eye color, I can't say. It seems to me that the closer they've been, it's always been reddish, and farther away has always been the green or the white. I don't know if it's a distance thing. I don't know if you know, each individual just has certain colored eyes, or you know, maybe it is something to do with their personality or their emotions or their feelings. That yeah, I can't say.
Okay, do you think, have you ever, this is going to be an awful question, have you ever been zapped or electricity eyes with an electric charge or something like that?
Oh, when I was over in the Blue Mountains, I did have that one experience when I was sitting by myself in the dark and something ran in front of me, just really fast through the bushes right in front of me. And about a minute later, I realized my whole left side was tingling. And that's when I looked over and I could see this large creature about 20, 30 feet from me just swaying back and forth in the starlight. But it wasn't uncomfortable. It wasn't painful. You know, talk about people getting zapped or hit by infrasound. Most of the time they talk about, you know, feeling really sick or very uncomfortable. You know,
what happened to me?
But it was never anything like that. It wasn't uncomfortable. Actually, one of the girls that was with us called it being sizzled. I liked that. I thought that was pretty cute.
Yeah. What happened to me was I was on back in this place called Kennedy Fields, and I was on the front part of a ridge, and when I went around the bend, the rightness on the center, but to the right started hurting real bad. So I backed out of there and it stopped. So I went around and went to the lower side, and the left side of my head started hurting. And I got it on video where you can see the pain in my face. The further I walked up in there. And the only thing that I could figure out was I was getting too close to either the family unit or the juveniles or somebody, because I don't know if it was a day watcher or what. But when I thought we were trying to do kill me or something, and I ended up backing out, and my head stopped hurting. And I cannot figure that point out.
No, I've never had an experience like that.
Well, see, because I do know from what I've studied that out there where y'all live at, they're 10, 12, maybe 13 foot tall out there.
Yeah, I think the tallest report I've ever heard of was 15 feet.
Okay, now, from what I understand, was the further east it comes, they get shorter and they get less
massive.
Because the tallest one I got in my area is 11 foot tall, and he's the biggest one. The rest of them average between 6 and 9 foot tall, and that's the older ones.
Well, the one I was able to measure, I had one that was behind a tree that a viewer spotted that where the head was visible above the tree, and I was able to go back out to get the same picture and figure out exactly with a photo comparison myself that I was able to determine he was 11 foot tall.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Do y'all ever catch any smells?
Not normally. Here around the cabin, I've never noticed any odor. When we were over at the Blue Mountains, I never noticed any odor. But we did have a camp out back in June, just up a little closer to Mount Rainier, about 8 miles up the valley. And we were out one night, and one of the fellow campers was playing a mandolin. And within minutes, we smelled the most overpowering stench of sewer that was just out of the blue. And it was there, and then it went away, and then it came back, and it went away. And when it went away the last time, it was gone completely. And we were in that area for a full week, and we'd been through that spot many times, and we never could find any source for it. It wasn't something that lingered. When it was gone, it was completely gone. One of my neighbors here on the White River, just a couple of weeks ago, started experiencing the same sewer kind of smell, but she wasn't quite sure what it was. At first, she actually went around and was checking the property for some old, thinking maybe there was an old septic tank that had caved in or something. But no, that was the only time I've ever actually smelled them.
Wasn't that at the same time we actually heard the screams? But when
that was the night after.
That was the night after.
In the exact same place. I'd heard screams the night before.
Both me and Barb recorded up there as well.
Right. Now, the ones here, I can always tell when the juveniles are around because I get the smell of vanilla.
Really?
Every time I go in the woods, I smell vanilla. Like yesterday, I couldn't shoot a deer because they followed me everywhere yesterday.
Wow.
I've heard about the cinnamon.
Yeah, I've heard of females having a cinnamon scent.
Yeah. Now, sometimes I'll get the vanilla smell or like a little bit of vanilla and a little bit of a urine smell.
Well, you know, that's one thing that really struck me is that everywhere the smell of urine, it was more of an elk smell. You know, elk pee to me everywhere we went. But the funny thing was, I never saw a single elk the whole time we were there, so I thought that was a little odd.
Right. You got any questions, Leo?
Well, when you were talking about what kind of language do we or anybody think that they may speak, I've seen and read a few articles about what do you call it? Crime, like police artists that you know, can listen to a witness and, you know, and draw a suspect. That they have had some of the top or a couple of the top people in the country go and take the hair kind of off their faces, and that they would really look Native American, the ones on the East Coast or the West Coast. So Native American would be a good probable choice, ancient Native American for a language. What do you all think about that? And, well, also, could they, speaking of the samurai speak, could that be from maybe if they had crossed the Bering Strait land bridge years back?
Oh yeah, just ancient language that they've carried with them. I'm pretty sure there's more than one kind. You know, there's the one that look very ape-like. The big one that was chasing the elk didn't have any hair on his face at all. If anything, he might have even had a receding hairline. And he had a very ape-like face. But you got to figure they're the ancient ones that are, and then possibly something along the lines of the Almaski or Alma.
Now all the
Yeah.
ones I've seen in my area look like a human in the face.
Really, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, every one of them. The only difference is,
Varieties. And then, you know, you got to figure there's also stories of, I think it's particularly back in the Midwest where the ancient Americans, the women would choose the Sasquatch for husbands over the warriors because they were better providers.
I heard
So
that
you got to
too.
figure there's a possibility that somewhere along the line, you know, we've mixed. Yeah, so there could be some that are just a little more human than others.
Now, I've never heard that. I have heard the Native American stories of the Sasquatch stealing women and children, but I have never heard that Native women may have chosen. That's interesting. I might try to investigate that a little more.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure those stories come out of the Midwest.
Okay, that's very interesting.
Yeah, I think a lot of the stories that you hear where they've stolen women and children, you know, not that it didn't happen because, you know, I wasn't there, I can't say that, but I think a lot of the stories are because they were seen as monsters, they were seen as a threat. And, you know, if you tell the kids don't go out at night because the Bigfoot or the Sasquatch or whatever word they use will get you, you know, that's how it's going to be passed down, and it's going to be something that's going to keep, you know, the women and children indoors at night.
Yeah, the boogeyman.
Yeah, the boogeyman will get you.
Exactly.
You got any questions, Keith?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm really interested though.
That's good. Let me see. Wait a minute. I had a question I was going to ask you. It just went right through me.
I think we've all had a long day, but a good one.
I've been up since 3 o'clock this morning. Oh, yeah. If y'all, I've seen 2 already walk on all 4s and then stand up and walk like normal. But my question is, how fast do you think they could run?
Oh, so fast. And, you know, I'm sure the big ones are fast, but the little ones are like lightning. I mean, you'll hear them, you know, you'll hear the rattling, I've actually seen leaves settling without actually seeing what was there because they're so fast. And, you know, they can leap from tree to tree in the blink of an eye. You know, they're just like little ninjas.
Yeah, I haven't seen any up in a tree, but
They probably slow down as they get bigger, but even the big ones, the one that was going after the elk were running full speed, and it seemed to be just rolling right along behind them. It didn't seem to be putting out too much effort to keep up, so they're fast.
I was out last year during the wintertime, and I heard the elk over the side. It looked like it wasn't birds or anything like that, but the two tall, gray-looking, from what I could, gray brownish creatures running across the trail, but it was almost like a blur. So I mean, we're not even talking about it. So
yeah,
that was.
wait a minute. Now, I've had okay, here we go. I went in the woods one time and I caught the shoulders up of something, and it was like a split second. They were, well, better yet, I had one run 250 yards in about 4 seconds.
On 2 legs?
Huh?
On 2 legs?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, maybe it was a crow because we got. Well, I can always tell when everything. I mean, when I go in the woods, I hear birds, I hear squirrels, and all of a sudden everything was dead.
See, it's a little bit different here. A lot of times the birds and the squirrels give them away, and I think that might be. But yeah, there's been. It caught my attention because we're going off, and then I'd stop and hang out. Pretty soon I'd hear some whistling or something else, some knocks or something. the silence in the woods doesn't necessarily always mean anything here.
Oh, okay. Let's see. It says Sam's a photo of a little one that looks like it's just relaxing.
Yeah.
Did it know you were there and he still sat relaxed?
Right. That was because I went down there. This is right below our and I was hanging out down by that area. I was actually taking pictures of the structures and one that looked like the jungle gym, and I just simply took the picture there. He's actually showing up in a very small part of the picture, but I've been out in that area for a while, and they whatsoever. As a matter of fact, one of the things is with me all the time, so we used to seeing that on.
Yeah,
Don't
same
the mind be taking whether or not they really care if they really knew that I could actually find them on the photo, because they take I had to train myself with a pretty good eye just to find them, but with a pretty decent camera. But he wasn't concerned whatsoever.
Yeah, because I got all the ones that I find are on video, and the video. I mean, I could be looking right in that area. I had 4 right in front of me one day within 25 feet, and I never saw them. I sat there for an hour. I was squirrel hunting.
Yeah.
But when I got back home, I saw them on the video.
Right. They tend to be on there's some reason also, something about the camera and the video can pick things up that our eyes cannot.
Right.
So that's also making up the difference. I use a pretty high resolution camera, about a 24 megapixel camera.
Right.
That's really helped save me in being able to see these, because I want to be able to see some detail.
Right.
In this particular one, you can actually see his arm behind his head and eyes. The eyes you can actually see very clearly.
Cool.
And him holding something and everything. So. Yeah.
Cool. I keep coming to that question. I keep forgetting it.
I've got one.
All right, go ahead.
Some people say, well, I know that Barb and Sam, you don't put up trail cams and that kind of things. I've heard you say, if I happen to see one, I happen to have a camera, then that's great, but I'm not going to try and tease them in or, take advantage. So, but do you think a lot of people with trail cams and all kinds of cameras wonder if there is a slight buzz, a hum, something in that camera that they can hear that they avoid?
Yeah, they can actually. Matter of fact, one of the things they just, I don't know if it's that necessarily, but we have an example of a little USB spy recorder that was placed inside the gifting area, which was actually buried in the bark.
Was it Sandy?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I didn't mention the name, but
yeah, it was Sandy.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Found it anyway. You could clearly hear on the recording when they picked that from somewhere. It was found how far away? A few hundred.
It was about 75 feet, I think.
From that, yeah.
Yeah, but it was just a little spy recorder that looked like one of the sticks you plug into the computer, and she was underneath the roots of the stump.
Well, the video was on the internet, so I guess I didn't actually give anything away there, but.
No,
but I'm sorry.
But
that's how I knew the answer.
One of the things with their sliders, their ability is to be able to pick up off of electromagnetic radiation, and anything that's electronics, well, a signature or a waveform or something, they're able to.
Yeah, there was a hunting club in Texas.
But they don't like things being left out in the woods.
I mean, how would you like someone to leave a spy bug in your dresser drawer or something like that? If you're coming to their home, and this is what I did in my presentation. I mentioned that carry something with you that's part of you, that this is on you, so you're not trying to deceive them or anything like that.
Exactly.
And regularly taking pictures and things like that. I think we're a little bit more at ease with that. Something that Because I think they can detect apprehension from us if we're trying to pull something over on them.
Yeah, you know, if we're carrying it with us, then they know what we're getting.
Right.
If we just leave something stashed out there, then they don't, you know, they could inadvertently, you know, give us something that they don't necessarily want us to have. The last time that I put something out, this is after we had given up putting recorders in the woods. I still had one that was working, and I've been hearing a lot of vocalizations outside. So one night I took one out and just put it on the picnic bench in my yard and left for a few hours. That, well, it's just going to record any sounds that might come from the woods. And I came back about 4 hours later, and it was not where I had left it. And I went and got the flashlight. I found it a few feet away. It was on the ground, turned off, and covered in dried mud.
I think I saw that video too.
Literally on my person.
Have you ever tried a trick with them? Well, not a trick actually. I have a tendency to know exactly where they're at because they always give themselves away. Like I'll be walking through the woods, I'll hear them follow me, and I'll stop and I'll look around. And I'll stop in mid step. I'll grab a tree and support myself, and I'll realize one last step to get where they can't be seen. And I know exactly where they're at. Have you ever tried? You ever tried that?
No, I haven't. No.
Because I heard that, you know, once they heard something, you know, and I'll take a picture as if I'm taking it in front of me, intending to take the picture behind me by using the back camera.
Right.
But come to find out, I had a front camera after all, and mentally it was behind me. So I looked at the picture that was actually in front of me. That's where I actually saw. That was the first time that the whole family was standing there by the tree.
Yeah, I got on video.
Yep.
And everything. And that was the same day that I checked peanut butter jars and it was gone. So I walked in and the jars were where he at. And a friend of mine, he heard, when I said y'all stole my jars, he heard, uh-huh. And when I said, where y'all at, he heard, we're here. Second later, I got this god-awful urine, feces, everything combined together. It broke in my eyes. And about a minute after that is when I got it's when I saw there was a family group going through the woods. I was turkey hunting, and I pulled my camera out, and they all dropped behind trees. And I got 3 of them around the tree looking at me.
Wow. Well, they never tried. I can honestly tell you that I have never had a bad odor. I have actually had where mentioned they smell. You've been up there, smell.
But that was the only time I ever got that smell. And I think what happened was.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we suspected that also is what happened that night when we had gone for a walk, and all of a sudden, you know, mandolin music just starts coming out of the night, and it was right after that we had that bad odor, and you know, I don't think that they stink all the time. You know, I don't know if that was something a defense mechanism, or you know, maybe it was just a particular time of year, or maybe that individual wasn't feeling well. I don't know, but yeah, that was the only time. You know, I've been so close to him on numerous occasions. I've never had any kind of odor. That was the only time, and that odor was really, really bad. It was so strong. It smelled like the oldest, nastiest sewer you'd ever smelled.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Well, let me ask you this here. What is the one thing that you want to learn from the Sasquatch? I need an answer from Barb, then I want an answer from Sam.
one thing, huh? I guess would be know what they are. To know, I guess just to know what it is that they are, what they really are, and you know, if they're really willing to, you know, be friends, to teach us, to be able to impart some of their wisdom with us.
That'd be sweet. What about you, Sam?
Well, it could be any number of questions, but the key one would be, I want to have contact with them where I'm able to be able to at least walk up to them and communicate with them. So the question would be, what prevents us from being able to coexist with you? That would be the, that's a low, that's what I would
Good
ask.
question.
Yeah.
Very good.
Okay, see, yep. So, all right, my opinion is every time I go in the woods, they teach me something more. You know, like different structures, different the way they, because I've seen 3 of the same structures made the same, but yet they were different. You know, and I'm the type of person that, you know, I'm a touchy, feely person, you know, and stuff like that. And I'm always got the video in my camera in my hand. I'm always videoing, you know. And I guess when I go in, you know, I have a tendency to try to explain things, you know, when I see it. You know. But is that the way? That y'all interpret some of most of the structures, or some of the structures, or things like that?
We think about it, you know, we try to figure out what some of the things might be, but, you know, at the same time, you got to keep in mind that when we look at these structures, we're seeing them from our human perspective. You got to remember that these weren't created by anything that has any kind of thought process like we do. You know, they live their entire existence in the forest. For those media or books or the things that, you know, that have programmed our minds into seeing things the way we do. So, you know, when I find things, most of the time, you know, I take it in, I get excited, I point it out, and as far as trying to decipher it, all of the best we can do is and know that what we're speculating on is what it really is.
Yeah,
I'm going to go the distance and actually say that I'm one of those individuals that tend to feel that we can make a link with them through meditation and through that form of, you know, whether it's telepathy or with mind. I've had some experiences with that, and I've been trying to go down that pathway with them to try. And the more I'm able to do that, as much as possible, so that I can hear things that you normally wouldn't be able to hear.
Right. Now, if you're a bird, well, like around here, it'd be a robin and a dove. What kind of birds do y'all see in y'all's area?
Blue jays.
Okay, now do y'all ever hear squash, especially juveniles?
Oh, yes, all the time. Well, owls, I think, are probably the mistake. They don't do that as much as they know that we know that's them now. They do a lot of whistles, especially in the spring, the thrushes actively, and that's because they can blend vocally as well as visually by making the same calls.
Like a 900-pound thrush or a 900.
It's really intense.
There's this reverberating along the woods. You know it's not coming from a small bird.
Yeah, whenever I'm being followed, we got here, and there's a particular note that a dove makes that a squatch try, but he cannot hit that particular note. Up above me and one down to the, well, see, one up on a ridge above me and one down below me between me and my camp. And I was listening to him, and at first I said, well, it's probably a couple doves communicating with something like that. And all of a sudden, it was following me. It followed me like a length of a football field, And I realized, wait a minute, I started listening, and I started the one, and then the one on my left. And each of them was trying to make a dove sound, but they kept screwing up. But they kept following me, though. They were communicating with each other to let each other know where I was at the whole time, And that's something I learned from them. Now, I've heard them make barred owl sounds.
Yes.
And now,
most common thing I think that they do. And that I've heard them get perfectly normal owl calls that you would never know that there was anything wrong with it except it ended with a growl. And I've heard them doing really, really bad owl calls where it was all just a deep monotone. It was obviously, a 600 to 800 pound owl that was doing that one, and he wasn't very good at it. And I've also heard them right outside my cabin, just where it basically sounds like just a person standing there going, ooh. So, I think between individuals, how much they practice it and how good they are. Some are going to be better than others. But a lot of times, if you listen, you hear something that doesn't sound quite right, listen a little more. There's always some kind of a tell. There's usually a giveaway.
Yeah.
Look at patterns, too, because of the fact that you'll have one do it, and specifically one's answering the other, and maybe three of them are engaged in this back and forth. And you usually don't expect that from the bird. The pattern's totally different, and especially like owls, for instance. Owls are irritating because they keep doing it. And in the case of the barred owl, or the imitation barred owl sounds that they do, it's not a consistent thing all night long. It's just specifically a short period of time that you're going back and forth two different ones, and then they stop and they end with that characteristic growl at the end of the call.
Yeah, because me and a friend of mine, Daniel Benoit, was out of his area out at his in West Augusta, and we heard a barred owl, and all of a sudden there was two more behind it. One almost sounded perfect, but the third one was totally lousy.
Yeah.
And
Just learning.
all right, here's a question for you. Have y'all ever heard a baby squatch?
Yes.
Tell me exactly, in your opinion, what they sound like. I want to see if it sounds the same way that me and Daniel heard one day.
Well, the only time that I've heard it that I know it was, I don't know. I'm pretty much sure that that's what it was. When we were camping over in the Blue Mountains, I was in my tent, and I had just turned the lantern off. I mean, it was just a matter of seconds, and I heard something hit the ground right outside of my tent, and it started making this kind of, it sounded like me, 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 and my first thought was, oh my God, it does sound like an alien. Because a couple of nights before, one of the other women that was camping there with us had been listening to this sound during the night, and it was right outside her tent, and she had described it as it sounding like a little alien. And that same night, Tom Cantrell was camped nearby, and he heard the same thing right outside of his tent. What was really interesting about that was the guard station that was there. There were people that were staying in there. I could hear them just right there outside my tent. And the door on the guard station opened up, and somebody came out to go up to the potty house. And the second that door opened, all the movement outside my tent just stopped. Right where they were, they didn't move. I heard the gravel. The person walked up to the potty house. A few minutes later, the door opened again. You heard them walk back down to the guard station. And as soon as they went back inside, all the activity picked up again, right where it left off, right outside my tent. So basically, they just froze when somebody came out. And yeah, I'm pretty sure that was a baby that was doing the me sound.
You also heard the hum, like, you know, like that in the creek. And
yeah, oh yeah, I've heard a kind of a whimpering kind of sound during fish season when I suspect somebody's out there. It's kind of their sound for I'd like some more fish, please.
It was like, you know, kind of like a baby whining tone to it, you know. So I got back to my play. Every known animal in the state of Virginia called on distress calls. I couldn't find nothing to match it.
would you, what about something like a deer, like a very small deer or elk?
No, it was kind of like wow, wow, you know, but it was a little bit more intense than that.
Now, I heard like that up the trail some time ago, about a year ago, walking off the clearing, and I didn't walk over there because I didn't think it was an elk, and I heard that like sound, and I don't think it was an elk.
So,
Too small for whatever it was doing,
yeah.
so I heard something similar, what you're describing.
Yeah, because when I started hearing it, I turned my parabolic of trees being snapped further up on the ridge. It wasn't no further than about 40, 50 yards from us, but the 100 yards back, you know.
Yeah.
You know, but we did have them close to us because I told my friend, I said, well, let me try this. I let out a whoop, and hey, and about 5 at me about 20 yards away from us. But see, we couldn't see them because between the road and the woods is like a curtain of brush and everything. So they was right on the other side there, you know. But we couldn't see them, but we could hear them and everything. That his area is forest, and mine's on National Forest, George Washington, but his is on west of us. So we're in the same areas, and we're getting said the same but different reactions from the Squatches in these two areas, you know. So we're combining them together, you know, and comparing everything, you know. And the way y'all were saying the ones out there act, out there where you're at, those Squatches out there are more relaxed, you know.
No, I think people in general are more relaxed. I'm from the East Coast, and you were describing the Blue Ridge Parkway. When I just was up there this year, every year I've been up there, I go up to Groundhog Mountain up there. You probably know exactly where that is.
Yeah. You know where Afton Mountain is?
Where, what now?
Afton.
I think I've heard of that before.
You know where Charlottesville is?
Yes.
All right, I'm about 31 miles east. You got to go up Afton Mountain. When you come down the other side on 64, I'm on the inside of it. I'm in a big salad bowl.
Oh, okay.
All right, I'm on the I'm right off the Blue Ridge Parkway comes way crows fly 5 minutes from my house.
Oh, okay.
You know, so my research area ain't but a mile away from me, you know. And I got we got a lot of lakes, you know, like that are in the mountain. We got like Sharonda Lake, we got Upper Lake and Lower Lake, you know, which is in the mountains. So they got plenty of food sources there. Now, what kind of food sources do they have in y'all's research area?
Well, most of the wildlife we have here, we have a lot of elk. There's a few deer here and there, but mostly we have elk. There's fish in the rivers, berries, mushrooms, you know, whatever other smaller wildlife, rodents, raccoons, and things.
What do you think the Squatch's most favorite meal is? You think it's either deer, turkey, or buddy? What's his? What do you think that they eat the most of?
Well, we don't have any turkey here. Maybe the elk, but I don't think that they take a lot of the elk. You know, if they were to feed on elk constantly, we probably wouldn't have very many of them.
I think it's seasonal.
Yeah, I think they hunt seasonally. I think they do. I think they go after the elk more in the winter time.
And then when we have the salmon runs, when salmon's coming back up the stream, the reason we know because it's high in protein. You know, both salmon and elk or any kind of meat is high in protein. And there are times of the year where they take the peanut butter, the jars, and then whenever like we have the salmon run or something, all of a sudden they're not taking the peanut butter because they don't need the protein, they're getting it somewhere else. But I think in the winter when that's less available, that's when they're actually making up the difference by taking the peanut butter.
Okay, I got a question here for y'all from a viewer. It says, what did y'all think about the show Bigfoot Captured?
Well, I thought that some of it was very interesting, you know, the
Jeff Meldrum part.
And all that. The dramatic part of it,
yeah, I'm the same way.
Yeah, me too.
What would happen if somebody caught us? But I was personally horrified by seeing it in a cage like that, and to me, it lost all reality when that Bigfoot didn't just rip the cage apart and get out of there, you know.
Yeah,
it's never really going to be possible. I thought it was a little ridiculous to just open a cage and put food in it and think that a Bigfoot would actually be dumb enough to go in there and be trapped. As far as using tranquilizer darts, it seems to me you'd have to actually know the weight of the animal to be able to safely dart it.
Yeah, he was a little too skinny, though. Looked like he had shoulder pads on his skinny body.
Yeah. Well, you know, you got to figure the younger males are known for being thin, you know, with a V-shaped body, you know, really narrow through the waist and everything, but broader in the shoulders.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I got to tell you, I really did enjoy the actual witness reports and Dr. Meldrum's skeleton. All that was very interesting, but I could have done without the dramatic parts with the caging one. That was.
Yeah, they a lot of people say that the History Channel took a very, very steep dive off a cliff.
Yes, they did. In my opinion, I was very disappointed in the end of it.
I can tell you, from my standpoint, that I have a hard problem watching any of these shows. A whole lot better using my time to know from my own personal research or working with Barb or get from any of these shows on TV.
I did enjoy Survivor Man Bigfoot.
Less crowd interaction there, and of course some scientific information from Dr. Jeff Meldrum.
Yeah.
However, most of the other stuff, the drama, you know, they're not going to put a TV program on without putting the drama in there. It's just part of something they do.
All right, why do y'all think the government will not release Sasquatch is real?
Real?
Exactly.
Well, it would affect so much. For instance, the logging industry.
Yep.
The land would need to be set aside. There would be, you know, huge upheaval in religion.
Right.
There's all kinds of reasons. You know, the Sasquatch has talent. You know, they have gifts that we don't. I don't think that they're magical creatures.
Thank you.
They just have abilities that we just don't understand yet.
Exactly.
Those are the abilities that the government wouldn't want us to know about.
couple minutes of the show. All right, now, this is my last question, and this is for both of y'all. What is the one main thing that you want to Sasquatch? In other words, what is your main reason for and what work with Sasquatch?
Well, it's become kind of an addiction.
Good girl.
I want to experience them. I want to hear them. I want to see them. I want to create interaction and hopefully someday be able to, have a conversation, to learn from them. There's things about the world and things about nature that they understand that we've lost the ability to learn and to experience. And if they can share that with us, if they can bring us a little back toward nature and share some of that, that would be great.
Cool. All right, what about you, Sam?
I agree with that totally. Matter of fact, that's kind of my mission statement on the channel for Planet Sasquatch is to actually learn from them, because they're in touch with nature. They're in touch with the earth. They're living in harmony with the earth. We're the most clueless race when you talk about the human race. We're the clueless. We're in that because we're destroying the planet. So it's to learn from them and to be able to convince people that everyone needs to change their viewpoint about life on this planet. It's not an indispensable resource. We need to protect our environment, and they can help us understand that.
I'm glad y'all said it, 'cause I agree with you 100%. Okay, now, is there any tips or anything that y'all can give to people who want to learn about Sasquatch and want to learn how to get into it and everything?
I'd say the number one thing is be respectful. Be respectful of the forest and the creatures that live in it. Be respectful to yourself and your friends, your family, the people that are out there with you. Just show respect. Talk to them. Treat them like they're intelligent creatures, intelligent beings. And I think that'll go a lot farther than trying to trick them or fool them into giving themselves up in some way.
I can agree with that. All right, how about you, Sam?
I would say the same thing. Is if you want to try to gain contact with them, taking quiet walks in the forest, learning to quiet your mind a little bit and observe the things around you. Like Barb said, learning respect, not only for things towards one another, towards our own kind as well, and having a calm, peaceful disposition. Nothing will ward them off worse than an attitude or a hatred attitude. They can probably actually see that emanating from a full special ability. So you want to have that real meditative state of mind or that calm. You want to attract law of attraction. Practice things more like them.
Yeah. Play music, laugh, go have fun. They like to observe us. They enjoy seeing us and hearing ourselves.
Yeah, because when I go in the woods, I'm always singing these off-the-wall songs.
They like you.
Yeah, I think that's what they call them. But anyway, that's the end of our show, and I want to thank y'all so very much. And will y'all come back again when I want to talk to y'all again?
Sure. Good. Yeah.
Thanks, Barb. Thanks, Sam.
Oh, you're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Come talk to Bigfoot.
Yep.
That was awesome.
Yes.
Okay, folks. That's the end of the show, and I'll tell you what, I've learned a whole hell of a lot. I'm glad I talked to Barb. I'm glad I talked to Sam. Those two taught me something that I needed to hear. All right, y'all two behave yourself, and y'all be good, and I'll talk to y'all later, okay?
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.
No.
Okay. Like I said, my name's Fred Caney, Valley Bigfoot Inside of Indian Squatch, and this has been a live show, and I hope y'all have learned something, because I know I did. And y'all want to get...
Good show.
You want to get in touch with me, go to Freddie Caney on Facebook or Valley Bigfoot or Inside of Virginia Squatch. And to watch some videos, go to 359100 on my YouTube channel. And I will talk to y'all later.